say?
Arigato gozaimasu.
Arigato gozaimasu.
That's the one. Arigato gozaimasu.
Is that Japan?
Arigato.
Japanese.
Yeah, Japanese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what you said?
Hello. Welcome back, guys, to the CX Show. I'm joined here, as always, with John, Alex. Welcome, boys.
Arigato gozaimasu. Arigato.
What the fuck are you trying to say?
Arigato gozaimasu.
Arigato gozaimasu.
That's the one.
Oh,
Arigato
that's,
gozaimasu.
Is that Japan?
Arigato.
Japanese.
Yeah,
Japanese.
Japanese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what you said?
Hello.
Definitely didn't say that.
We went to Japan for a few days.
Arigato gozaimasu is thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, well, we need to cut that out.
Good hell, bro.
I knew it, so I was saying that a lot.
Yeah. So you were in Japan.
I did.
How was Japan?
It was good. It was good. They're very, very clean. They got to work on the food a bit, you know.
Oh, I hear the food's great.
Food's good if you're a pescatarian.
Yeah. No. I did not.
Yeah, we're not too much seafood.
I like the egg sandwiches in the 7-Elevens.
Yeah.
Everyone raves on about them.
Yeah, they were really
good.
nice.
They were
No
good.
crust.
The filling
just
is
more egg.
Yeah. Filling is just good quantity. Every
good.
bite you get egg.
And the toilets. We got it. The toilets were good. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's with the toilet?
Dad was in there for quite a while. Let me run you through it. It squirts your ass. And Dad was doing a little salsa dance. He was doing a little salsa dance on trying to get the spot right there.
No, that was good. And everywhere you went, they had those toilets.
Yeah,
everywhere.
it was pretty good.
Everywhere.
Really?
Yeah.
It's very clean.
Yeah,
very clean.
It was nice.
That culture.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Nice.
No rubbish bins, which is a bit hard to get used to, but
if you make rubbish, you can go into the store and say, just take the rubbish, and they take it.
Yeah, they take it. Yeah.
They take your rubbish.
There you go.
Yeah, no, it was good.
You know, I wouldn't know. I'd just take back here.
Yeah, well, someone's got to work.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, we few updates. So while you guys were away, our B double sets came, which is great. So that's providing us a good leg up to Sydney for us, which we just started for our existing customers. That's great. And we've got this. This month we have a show. So we got the was it hospitality and food?
Food and hospitality show.
That's it. Food and hospitality week. That's right. In 18th, 20th. In May Exhibition Centre. So if you guys are free, come down. We are giving away a little Mercedes-Benz Actros truck. So hopefully you've seen the little promo videos that we're doing that for giveaway. Click the link, enter the draw. It's free, and hopefully you win a little truck. So that's good. That's a bit. There wasn't too much that you guys missed.
For those of you tuning in and watching this, the show would have been already passed. So if you want a truck, good job.
But still hit the link and subscribe.
Yeah.
Say like.
But we have another show at the end of the year, the Fine Food Show, which we always do in September. So
We'll promote that one.
yeah, we can do that
Yeah.
later on, I think. But yeah,
That's a good point.
good stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, you. Yeah.
We have a guest today, Kyle Rodgers. Kyle.
Hello. How are you? Welcome.
Mate.
Thank you.
How are you?
Welcome. Well, you welcome.
Yes,
Welcome
yes.
to my office.
So I've known Kyle for a few years now.
Yeah.
I bumped into him when you were at UTenant. Right?
Yeah, I'm a lieutenant. Yeah.
And then we just kept in touch from then.
Yeah. I was actually writing a few things down here. I was thinking about a bit of a joke, in the movie The Castle, and they're right over, and there's nothing on it, but there actually is something on this one. No, what attracted me, Jackal, we've been in contact for a long time. Coffees, catch up. It was being a family business, so coming from a family business, recalling everyone. A few of my directors hearing this story. They said, if he talks about this story one more time, they're like, shut up, just go make me some revenue. Family business in haulage and production of potatoes, so manufacturing, cold storage. So I resonate a lot with you guys, having lost my dad young, seeing what you guys are doing, the camaraderie and having a laugh and building something together is truly awesome. So that's one reason. Second, with you being a
Cole, do you always talk this fast, just out of curiosity?
No, I can slow it down real.
I'm not saying we need subtitles like that guy from... You're not like Adrian from Maths, right? You're not that bad. But
No, I'm with
He's
you.
all right.
I'm struggling.
But if it means if I say something wrong,
That's better.
there's a way to get out of it. I didn't say that. That's not what I said. But English isn't my first language, by the way. No, I'm going to speak many other languages, but English I've had to learn over the years.
Yeah.
But on that, but genuine, authentically, I mean it. What you guys doing, getting on here, that you can have fun, have a laugh in business, and still execute and do a good job.
Yeah.
There's a certain thing comes, especially men, being masculine is. When you think of that word, I can't make a mistake, I can't have fun. So this is why one of the reasons I wanted to come on the show. And thirdly and finally is when we connected, we were both going on that journey of having young kids.
That's right.
And the challenges that come along with that. I'm sure there's many people, male, female, in the audience, of trying to balance that aspect of life, of having young kids. So congratulations. All your recent successes since we last caught up, because it's been a few years, and
it has.
I met your old man. We have met before. We have now.
No,
we are peering across the room at each other.
Yeah, I'll send you my number later. We'll go coffee.
Yeah. So thank you. Thanks for letting me come on the show.
No, that's cool. That's cool. Also, tell us about your journey. You know, where you started and where you are now, and you know, you haven't. You know, for us, obviously, we're in the refrigerator space. You've been in a different couple, in the same industry, but a few different,
different niche.
Yeah. Well, the short answer or the long answer, doesn't matter. You're getting a long answer. Look, see, always been logistics. Grew up in a family business. Studied logistics for 4 years in university. You know, everyone has their story. It's not woe is me. Lost my old man, was 19, the youngest of 5. Oldest brothers took over. I moved over here. A few years at EFM Logistics, then Silk Logistics. Co-founded a company called U-Tenant. Probably, you know, I grew really fast. Probably had a lot of responsibility that was on me too young.
How old were you at this stage?
Maybe 27, 28.
Okay. Raised
capital, started to scale nationally, putting on a team. But great learnings. There's never such thing as a bad thing. You can always take learnings from things. And
just going back a little bit. Yeah. Well, why did you decide to leave home, Ireland? Why didn't you stay in the family business with your brothers?
Look, for me, it was when my oldest brother wanted to take over the business. I wasn't quite ready. I wanted to travel and do all those things a 19-year-old, a 20-year-old would do. Graduate, travel while you're young, get your education. And my dad always used to say, manners and education are easily carried.
That sounds like you.
But also,
apart from the education.
Yeah, yeah. But also fell in love while in that journey. I actually met my wife on a website called Couchsurfing. Anyone might not have heard of it. Crazy. And we connected online. She was in Melbourne. I was in Ireland. That's a story for another podcast. I moved over here and just had a crack. Decided, you know, that wasn't my legacy to leave. I wanted to come over and, you know, cut my teeth in the vast lands of Australia.
That's it. That's it. So how did it start with U-Tenant? Like, how'd you come across that? How'd you...
Oh, look, there was another guy who was in the industrial property space, and I had the 3PL logistics knowledge, and it kind of intrinsically and inextricably linked, like in a natural way. And I thought there's something here to try to create more value for both tenants and landlords of industrial property. And we were just shooting the shit on a whiteboard and came up with this crazy idea to build this 3-sided platform. And it attracted a lot of attention from customers and suppliers, and we actually got investment from a large global firm. And it just took the business overnight from 2 people to 12 people, and we just grew. And it was a really fun journey along the way. I had to go through with COVID, so the timing was good too. COVID happened, and everybody needed warehousing space.
Yeah, that's right.
That was fun. Yeah,
that's good. That's good. Like I said, I think when we bumped in, you were there at that time. I don't know if we were looking for... I'm not sure if you reached out, I reached out. I know we've been looking, the last few years, looking for other, storage sites, etc. before we did this one here.
Yeah.
It's probably how we came across.
Yeah. I think it was involved with the Supply Chain Logistics Association as well.
Yeah,
I think as well, back to my points earlier, young guys, similar age in the same space, having a crack. Let's kind of just have a coffee and see how we can help each other. And I think it's been a few years since we caught up. Look at us looking at each ot's eyes. I don't know if these cameras can catch that. But,
right.
It's good to see you again.
It is. Yeah, no, it's good to keep in touch. I mean, it's...
So what makes the industry so good for me? It's why I do this. It's like there's so many industries you can choose or people can work in. Mm. It's kind of catch-22, right? Sometimes you're like, oh, the industry, these types of people, but it's also the people that make it work. That's what makes us human, right? Yeah. It's dealing with humans. This industry is really good at keeping people connected because you're always on the phones, you're always chasing freight. Make sure you put my Aussie accent on there. Staying in touch with people, it makes the day go quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you touched on earlier, I think before the cameras were on. You had a couple health issues along the way.
Yeah. Look, so this might cross the bar. Some of them too. I pushed myself too hard. So advice to you guys. Advice is only worth what it costs, right? People give it in buckets and take it in teardrops. And I pushed myself too hard during COVID. Young family, ego, the unresourceful ego got to me. Lots of travel, dinners, and too much, activities, drinking and all that. And it finally actually collapsed at a logistics conference. Fell back, hit my head, had a brain bleed, brain clot, and permanent bruising to my prefrontal lobe. People always say I had problems with my brain before. I like to say Elon Musk flew in and put the first Neuralink in the country in here. But so that gave me a chance to reflect. It's taken a bit of a journey. It's been 2 years actually in 2 days since that happened. And look, a lot of that was self-inflicted. It was just not asking for help, being a young guy, feeling too tough. So I'm actually on a journey of that as well, where I do a lot of work around that, actually run a non-for-profit in the space of vulnerability and masculinity, trying to create better men. So it's another topic for another time.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you've just started, have you?
Yeah, I started out about a year ago with a group of industry people, supply chain people, and it's across Melbourne and Sydney. So we actually have events next week in Melbourne and Sydney with circa 50 people coming each, where we get speakers to come in and demystifying men's health, everything from mental, physical, spiritual, how to but show men it's okay to be vulnerable. As I mentioned earlier, it's the whole masculine thing. People think in business that being masculine, you've just got to be tough. But it's funny, we will live in a world of services and products-based businesses run by humans for humans, but we can't do the thing that makes us human, which is be men, especially be emotional. And it was actually
Jack keeps calling me soft.
Yeah.
And I'm saying it's not soft. I'm passionate.
That's true.
It's passion.
Yeah, and that's what I love. That you guys are passionate about. You guys grow up with it, like from kids subconsciously, like me and the potatoes. Off the old man, you were seeing him do what he's doing before now. So yeah.
Okay, that's good. I didn't know you did that actually. That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's good. I mean, it's when you get so caught up in what you do, you don't. You know, sometimes you do need a fresh perspective.
Right.
So for us, I've started going to a couple of networking events and network with other people and sort of seeing, how other people deal with certain. Yeah. Because all I know is how my dad deals with things, right? But
I don't think you're doing a bad job.
Which is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's just like
he's never at work anymore. He's networking here, networking there, lunch, dinners.
But it's networking. There's working. Working is in.
I think he's more net than work.
Yeah, I feel that. Not with you. I mean with me.
Yeah. But yeah, that's why I've started going to those things. Plus, it's
like you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, correct.
And even though I kind of knew it was some bad habits and wasn't doing things probably the right way, it doesn't matter how many people tell you. You got to learn the hard way sometimes, and you got to learn by yourself. But getting out there, getting good mentors, speaking to people, is really important.
When you say learn by yourself, is that through experiences or positions you put yourself in?
Through experiences, and you need time to reflect too. We're so busy and good at just working, whether it's working and then coming home to work, which you then not work, but you're there with your family. You're always busy. You're always on. But it's not until you get some time off you get to reflect and go, you know what, I actually made a mistake. It's really hard to do that as humans, to go, you know what, I fucked up. And what am I going to do about it? But also, if there's another layer to that, having the right people around you as a mate that's going to say, mate, that's not right. Usually it's like, and you laugh, continue that bad behaviour or continue doing that way. But having a good group of friends around you that actually go, you know what, mate, no, that's not cool. Or that's enough to drink. Those types of things. So there's a bit of a balance of just awareness, and to answer your question, it just comes with time. Like you can read books. I was podcast fiend, book fiend, getting out and having conversations. But until, as Rocky said, everyone's got a plan till someone punches in the mouth. It was Mike Tyson, actually. Sorry. Someone's got a plan till someone punches in the mouth. You kind of got to learn it yourself until you land there, flatten your back, going, how did it all go wrong? And you've got time to reflect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What advice would you give yourself 10 years ago? Or would you like to tell yourself 10 years ago?
Not go so hard, because we, at our age then, in our 20s as young men, we want to go fast. We want to go hard. And life is long. Life is long but short. It's paradoxical, but you've got so much ahead of you. It's a long game. It's a marathon. So if you're starting at 20, you go to work to say you're 60-odd, 62, to say a marathon. Marathon's 42 kilometres. It's 42 kilometres. But I was running at like a sprint.
Yeah, okay.
Thinking it was a 1K race. So it would be probably the best
advice. I've gone past the finish line there already.
But that is, I think that's general, right?
But it's hard to turn off. It's hard to turn off. It's almost. We went to Japan a little while ago, and I'm on the phone. It's like I'm checking my emails. when you got your phone with you nowadays, you might as well be at work, you know. And we're always on. You're always on.
It's like connected to you. It's like another limb.
Yeah, yeah.
know?
And like I'll check it. I'll check a few things, and then, okay, I can relax a little bit now. But yeah, when you've got that around, it's hard to turn off. It's hard to
Social media. I'm sort of segueing a bit. Social media is a big one that's worked for me in terms of not using it. So I haven't had any other social media but LinkedIn for over 8 years. No,
Wow.
never ever had an Instagram account. Didn't use Snapchat since I arrived in Australia nearly 10 years ago. Deleted Facebook 8 years ago.
So you don't Facebook stalk anyone, Instagram stalk
Nothing.
anyone? No, okay, cool.
Zero. No
Okay.
other profiles, just because there's only so much your mind can take in. I'm like, at least with LinkedIn, there's just generally speaking, business stuff. And it's related to my job, so I've only got so much time in a day.
LinkedIn's a great tool. I like it. I use it a lot,
Yeah.
as you're probably aware. Yeah.
Well, this will be going
tool.
out on LinkedIn. So.
I honestly think it's a great tool.
Yeah.
I really do. I mean, we're on all the platforms.
Yeah.
Instagram actually worked for us during COVID for home deliveries, actually, because we wouldn't B2C, right? So
of course.
there was, so that we ran a promotion through there, and that was pretty good. We felt. But the latest one that's really surprising is TikTok. For
don't knock TikTok.
Pardon?
Don't knock TikTok.
I'm not I'm saying it's good. I'm saying, like, of all the platforms that we use, TikTok's the one where we get the most reach out of. And we've actually got a couple leads from there. You know, since we started the show, like, we've got, I think, a couple leads from TikTok alone, right? So, that was surprising. But yeah, I mean, I did go through a phase where I did delete a couple of social media apps because I was just, you're constantly on it. Then you put it down, and then literally 4 seconds later you pick it up, you check it again. You know what I mean? And it's just like,
it's triggers, a little trigger. It brings you back into somewhere else, and you think about, and then there's a comparison. You're comparing yourself to other things, and especially when you guys running a business like this, you need all the time you can get.
Yeah, and I guess that's a bit of downfall. I mean, social media, you can use it in a great way, or it can be a pretty big evil for you as well.
It's a bit like AI. There's a lot of stuff going on AI at the moment. Well, there has been for a while, but it's like,
Our developers use AI every day.
Who does, sorry?
Our developers.
Yeah.
We've got a team of developers that work full time for us. They use it every day.
Yeah.
Just to, we're always improving, our warehousing system, our transport system.
Yeah, they use it to help code a few things and set things up. Yeah, which a lot of people now are starting to do that.
One thing I like. Go on.
No.
One thing I like about AI is I know this is getting philosophical, is it's going to give a lot of power back to the jobs I think are really important. Healthcare workers, doctors, medical, the things it takes a human to get in and do. If you think about it a bit more deeply, firefighters, police, teachers, those jobs that are really important for society that AI can't replicate. AI has its place in the world just like technology.
Yeah.
Optimizing things, emails, finance, corporate stuff, which is a bit of, it's droning. But AI, I hope, in 10, 20 years is going to give the power back to the people that actually add value to communities.
Yeah, okay.
Watch out for RoboCop.
Yeah, there'll be a few of those around.
Okay.
Kyle, has technology and AI helped you in your business?
I think so. So I'm still quite new. I haven't even got into that. I'm with a company called Elite Logistics now. I've been there 2 months, so we've got different systems. Yes, for WMS, TMS. Technology is like anything, right? It's like it's super important. It's how you utilize it. You could go all day on it. It's like when you buy any technology, you maybe only use 5% of it. So it's understanding what you can offer, but also what your customer wants as well, and find the right technology fit for your business and your customers. Like we're in retail, so we've aligned with technology businesses that are aligned to retail. We have our own trucks as well. I'm sure you guys know that. We have our own trucks, do retail transport, store to store, DC to store.
Any of those trucks refrigerated?
No. But
you can stay.
You can say our truck's not good enough?
No.
I was about to show them the door.
No, I think they're equivalent, but they're just ambient instead of refrigerated.
Well, coming soon with about 350 trucks of refrigerated trucks coming your way from all sorts, all over Melbourne, just here in Rowville, actually.
but you
Good
guys
luck finding space.
You guys do e-commeress, is that right?
Yeah, a lot of e-commerce, pick and pack.
What's happening in because we're not in e-commerce space. What's
Yet. Just in case.
Look,
it's obviously slowed down since COVID, right?
It has slowed down, of course, in terms of e-commerce online. It's still trending upwards.
Okay.
Not as much at the same rate as UK and America. I think we're quite a social country. People still like to get out to shops and stuff, but obviously the economy has contracted a lot. I don't want to get into all that sort of microeconomics, but retail's slowed a little bit because of what's going on, interest rates and globally, and we don't want to get into Trump and all the other crazy things going on. Maybe we could. That's maybe that's a contentious topic, but look, e-commerce is good. Automation is becoming a lot more accessible, where it was a trending thing 5-10 years ago. But there's a lot more players on the scene now. A lot of big companies have implemented automation, made the mistakes, learned from them, a lot of these companies, and it's a lot cheaper now and quicker to implement automation. Yeah. And sometimes it's not the right decision, not required to have automation. A lot of people just say pick-pack automation, or pick-pack for e-commerce, and just assume automation's the right option because you're paying labor costs, and I get that. But then automation's expensive, the payback's expensive, you've got to have the customer contracts. Automation breaks down, engineers are 4 times expensive labourers. So I think it's ever evolving.
We put in some automation a few years back. Learnt a lot of things not to do. We had to rip it out because we could do it quicker with manual than we could with the automation.
Yeah.
Quicker. Because we've got a very, very short window, to make up runs and get them out. Because what we get today is in store tomorrow,
Wow.
Yeah, so, and if you're getting things around 6 o'clock at night, you got to prepare runs.
Stock that for us, for cross-stocking, stock can be in our warehouse and go out in less than like 2 or 3 hours. Right. It's been...
We needed a system that...
And we don't really... it's how it happens, right? Because for us, because we do a lot we specialise in regional, right? We leave a lot earlier, right? So you need the freight back earlier, right? But often the same day, customers, they want to take orders as late as possible, right? So it's that fine line of, where do you balance? Most of our stock comes back around, between 4 to 6, but there's still stuff that comes back late at night, and that truck's leaving. So
what's your hours operations here?
We're 24 hours
every day.
24 6.5. Yeah.
Wow.
But we needed a system that could allow us to run 6,000 boxes an hour.
Yeah, wow.
Right. It just didn't work. Work.
Yeah.
So we pulled it all away. It's sitting in the warehouse. And we haven't given up, and the people that sold to us, to their credit, haven't turned their back on us. Yeah. And we said, look, we have to find a way to use it.
Yeah.
Let us set up in the other factory. We'll sort out, see what room we got, but we've got to bring it back in because there is a spot for it. It actually did work well with when we did home deliveries through COVID. It worked well for that, but for what we do, it just a little bit.
No, we know what we want. It's just, as I said before, it's expensive. You know what I mean? Certain automation builds. For us, a specific one is every business is a little bit different.
Every business is different, and the country's different, right? I know this is everyone's heard it before listening to this podcast, but Australia is unique in its demographic. It's large, it's wide, and populations, typically Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, and you guys obviously special and regional. It's really hard because you just look at Australia Post, right? You got a monopoly in terms of e-commerce, talking about e-commerce.
Yeah, that's right.
There's other players, I won't go into mention them, as people trying to do similar to compete with Australia Post, but they can't because of the infrastructure and the regional network.
That's right.
Australia
it's that barrier to entry, that's the killer.
It's really high. Speaking of as transitions, a lot of activity happening. We spoke about this before. A lot of activity happening in the market. A lot of acquisitions bubbling under the surface in the ambient space as well, and probably in your space. Because so many companies grew over COVID, a bit like when explained earlier. A lot of people needed a lot of stock. Freight forwarders made a lot of money. The ports made a lot of money. A lot of 3PLs grew. Transport firms grew, but there's a bit of contraction. But now we're seeing a lot of big firms looking at strategic acquisitions.
Yeah, because containers went from I think 3,000 or 4,000 to like 15,000. I heard. To bring in the container through COVID, and it was crazy.
Yeah.
And all the building materials. But I did hear that's a lot slow, especially in the building, has slowed right
even
down.
In our refrigerator space, I'm not sure on the ambient, but in the refrigerator space, it is slow out there, and there's, every day we're getting calls, people, drivers looking for work, right? Everything's dried up. And it's not just our industry, I'm talking to my uncles, they're in construction, builders, they're slow, you know what I mean? So it's definitely tough because people are watching what they're spending.
100%.
And there's a lot of...
Mate, can you believe the price of food? Like, just food. Yeah. I still don't understand how it's gone up so much. I don't get it. I don't understand why it's gone up so much. There was something on one of the news shows the other day where, like, I think 2 or 3 years ago, like just a packet of Tim Tams was $2, and now it's like $5 or $6.
I think it's more than that.
I mean, it was crazy.
Insane.
Crazy. They picked out a few items, and every item has more than gone up over 100%.
Yeah.
Now,
It's not aligned with
Easter
CPI.
just passed.
I know wages have gone up, but they haven't gone up that much.
Easter eggs.
You want to know?
$15 for a bunny.
You want to know what Dad paid for an Easter bunny chocolate at Target? Just one little Easter egg.
$20.
What I paid? When did I pay?
You paid for it anyway.
Don't give your kids your credit cards.
Well, technically it wasn't me. It was actually your granddaughter.
My okay, that's
It was her birthday.
That's different.
She
that's
turned
different,
through
that's
that day. It was her
My,
birthday.
my birthday's
I took him to Kinder this morning.
My birthday's... my birthday. My daughter's birthday today, actually. 4th birthday.
There you go.
Yeah,
happy
happy birthday,
Yeah.
Delilah.
That's
I'll
it.
show her this when it airs. She'll love it, actually.
How much should I pay for an Easter egg?
And it was just guess
Like
how
a
much.
bunny, yeah?
Yeah, guess how much.
$2,000.
No.
$12.
Oh, I'd say $20.
It's the size of a drink bottle. $20.
Yeah.
$50.
Yeah.
Wow, I
No.
paid $12. I
No.
thought I was like getting ripped off.
You are going to rip
You did.
Yeah, so why are you saying 20?
Go to the end of the aisle, half price.
12, you get ripped
$12.
off.
$12
Yeah.
for this.
I could have made
I
you
thought
one.
there was
Did I
two
not just
barcodes
say
on
12?
there.
Um,
You know,
I could have made you one for free.
Easter, man. They just,
Would have had more than chocolate in it, though.
it was her birthday. Like, we went to Target to get a toy, but she ended up with chocolate.
There was this egg, like chocolate egg with pistachios and things.
Oh, yeah.
What, pistachios with the shell on them?
$60 or $70.
Is that the pistachio puppy one then?
Yeah, so it's a certain...
And I said,
yeah,
who would
it's a
pay?
collab.
I said,
My
I
girlfriend
said,
gave-
who would pay? Who would pay that? Because your sister bought one. I said, she goes, try it. I said, it's okay, but mate,
It's white chocolate. It tastes like white
$60? Seriously? And I said, who would buy that? And his girlfriend
girlfriend
turned
bought
around.
two.
She bought two.
You know
Yeah.
what? I've got it. I know why the price of chocolate eggs have gone up, and it's frozen suppliers of transport and warehousing, I reckon.
You reckon? We can cut that out.
Yeah. But yeah, things have gone up. So obviously it's tough out there. And like a lot of players have gone down.
Yeah.
And I've seen some on LinkedIn. Like there's a lot of repeat offenders that are just like,
Yes.
closing down a business, open up this one, racking up thing, close out. Like it's just fucking
Yeah,
ridiculous.
not afraid to say it. I was someone caught up in all that after finished up here with a few tenant moved to the Gold Coast for a transport firm. I won't go into too much detail on this, but owed 20 odd mil to the ATO, disappeared to Dubai, logistics firm. So it's happening out there. It's just trucking in such a way for cartels and stuff to funnel money and use the assets, sweat the assets, put it into property and disappear. So there's a lot of that happening. But it's good to have these conversations, not on air, but in the industry, making sure that
Well, I can see
so many employees.
There's a couple of guys that share all that stories. And now there's on LinkedIn the Freight Buzz. If you watch
the Freight Buzz guys. That's guys. I don't get guys, girls. Don't know. Who
I like that because there's no sugarcoating.
Yeah.
They just
Don't know
say
what it is.
whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And that's why his page is doing pretty well actually. It's
Or
not
hers.
sugarcoating.
You don't know who.
I think it's I think it's a guy.
But how do you end up owing so much, and how do those numbers get so big? Wouldn't you know after a month?
I don't know.
What was the time span? What was the time span?
Oh, I'm not sure.
I mean, if you've got to owe the ATO 20 mil, that's a decent amount.
Yeah, it depends how much you're doing.
I mean, not that they know what to do with it, but that's another story.
Dad, we had a lot of feedback regarding one of the clips that took off with thousands of comments where I said, "You're the boss. You can come in an hour late." But some people completely missed the message here. I said, no one will tell you off, but you need to learn to employ yourself and lead by example.
Yeah, okay.
Not take time off when you feel like it. Exaggerate.
Exaggerate.
Go on with that.
Okay. So just with that, I think we were talking about, when you start off, a small business, right? You do everything. You do the sweeping, you are the bookkeeper, you're everything. And as you grow, you then start to replace, things that can be replaced, and you start doing the more
The owner stuff.
The intricate parts, yeah. And I said, because you're the boss, you can come in an hour late, right? And people said, "Oh, you're the boss. Why are you coming in an hour late?" No. I think they took some things out of context. You can come in an hour late because you're the boss. You can do what you want, but that's not what a real boss does. He's normally the first one in, the last one to leave, right? They put in a real boss learns how to employ himself, right?
Yeah, I'm not a real boss yet. Yeah.
Because you look at your day and think, if I had to pay someone for what I did today, would I be happy with paying him that day's wages? And if the answer is no, then you need to lift your game.
Yeah, you told me we have this discussion probably every 6 to 8 weeks.
So what's that say? No. That's what I meant by that. I'm not saying because you're the boss, come in an hour late. I was just saying no one's going to tell you off. So it's because you haven't got someone over your shoulder, it is a lot harder to have your own self-discipline. Yeah. Yeah? Because, can I stay? It's cold this morning. I'll stay in bed an extra hour. No, get out of bed. You got work to do. Yeah. You've got to get in there. And you lead by example. Correct. When I first started, many times I was in the cool room, we're picking, we're doing this, and some people would say, oh, you don't have to do that. I said, no, it's fine. And when I was there, I could see them. They physically lifted. They picked up their pace. Yeah. They were, You
were there with them.
Yep. And I'd pick up the broom, I'd start sweeping. I don't care, You do everything.
You leave an example, you're in the trenches.
And believe me, they respect you for that.
Agree.
They respect you for that.
I think there's a bit of a balance too, is in terms of if you are sick and there is something going on, you need to be coming in an hour late or take a day off. It's healthy as well. So breaking down old boundaries too in terms of what's expected to run a business too, and being able to communicate that as well.
Yeah, it's healthy for me to have a day off.
No, that's not what I took out of that.
Especially
what I took out of that is you can take an hour off, but then spend 2 hours at night making up.
Correct, because a day is not linear. 9 to 5.
Yeah,
especially with young kids and stuff, you want to show up and show the kids as well that it's okay, because the world's changing.
Yeah, I still struggle with that because I come a little bit later because if on the certain days they go to kinder, I take them to kinder. And we got a newborn, so we're not up super early because of that, which you know what that's like. But then I stay back later, and I end up coming back home around 7, 8, and then it's.
And you're tired.
I keep getting told off. Oh, I just keep
getting told off. Why do you get back at 7 and 8? Because you know that your wife sort of put the kids to bed, and it's no.
I get it before dinner.
Go to bed. Go home a little bit earlier. Go home, help your wife, put the kids to bed, and feed them, bath them, and all that, and then go back and do some more work. That's what we used to do.
No,
I do that too.
I'm with him actually. Something that's actually happened last night, because sometimes I'm the same. Where by the time we get up early, or if I need to be home. But that old mentality of growing up in a farm is like get to work, right? And I get to the office. So I've been in this job 2.5 months, but I'll drive to the office every day. But the point is, last night I was coming home, I was tired, I was out west, I live the whole way down now, currently down the peninsula. Long day. By the time you get home and get the kids to bed, you're like, well, last thing I want to do is then jump on the computer. But something last night I found is like, once I actually got myself to the computer and got going, it's okay. It's that like anything. It's like getting up and going for a run or getting to work, going to the gym, whatever it is. I think I said that twice. But just getting on it, on the computer. It's like the hardest part. Because it's easy just to switch the TV on, watch Netflix, chill out, and I deserve it. But once you're on there, you're going.
Yep. We all did martial arts. I did karate for over 40 years. And
you're not 40 yet, are you?
Sorry?
You're not 40 yet, are you?
Okay, you can come back. And there were some nights I just did not want to go, and I thought, no, I got to go. Yeah. So I went down there, and like on those nights, you seem to train the best.
Correct.
Right. Yeah. And then when you get back, it's just when I trained, I felt really good. Yeah. I trained good, and I felt less stress. Yeah. As well. And I've got to say, Cancho Rod, our mate. he keeps on saying, John, come on, come back.
Yeah.
So what haven't you gone back for?
I went last year
You got heaps of time.
a few times. No, I am.
What
I
are
am
you
going
doing
back.
Saturday mornings?
I'm
Apart from
taking
sleeping?
clips.
Nothing.
I actually take clips.
Unless we're going for a
It's Saturday
bike
morning.
ride.
It's Saturday morning now, isn't it?
I'm still taking clips on TikTok, right, and saving them and thinking, I want to try these things, certain things. So I told him. I actually did say to him. I said,
That was his TikTok.
we're gonna catch up. and We're gonna go through some of these things to see, how easy they are to work. But
And extend on that is also you're just that one moment or one extra hour work away from the best opportunity. Like the networking night you didn't want to go to, or the client dinner, or a function, something. I don't really want to go, and then you go and you come back, and the missus will be like, oh my God, that was actually amazing. I met this person, and you were so close to not going. So a bit to the audience out there is just that one step more, that 80-20 rule, just push yourself that little bit more, because you're just so close to success. That one more cold call, that one more email.
And that's the difference between people who are successful and people who are maybe average. If there is such an average thing, you say average, because they're the ones who push themselves, and they get that benefit.
Our top 2 client, that was a cold call that I did, and I was before calling, like, what do I want to say? What am I saying? What am I saying? Before I got it, and then it worked out, which is great. But like it's it's tough to put yourself in those situations, but the results are pretty good if you stick it out.
That's where the growth happens as well.
And that's because for me, I've only ever been at my parents' business. When I left school earlier.
It's not your parents' business, it's your business. You get your own share. You've had to put these two together.
Alex, lean back.
Why you're right here
forward? You literally lean forward.
Mate, when you spend $12 on
you didn't tell me that. You said come in and I want you to speak with my business.
So that's been good for us.
So showing up's the hardest part.
Showing up's
just getting there.
the hardest part.
They reckon a job started is a job 50% complete. Just starting it is the hardest thing.
It's like there's I don't know, it wasn't a study, but this guy wanted to lose weight, so his friend encouraged him to lose weight, and he said just go to gym for 1 minute. That's all you need to do. But make sure you go every day for 1 minute. And after a minute, if you want to go home, go home. And the guy found himself, once he was there for more than a minute, he's like, you know what, I'm already here. That's it. We're here now. And that snowballed effect and made it consistent. But I'd say showing up is it's daunting, especially when you're unknown of what you're showing up to.
Or you can put in
it's because the results aren't immediate.
You don't know it,
right? And that's what and that's why
immediate or unknown. It's unknown. The fear of the unknown.
But if you knew that you would go tonight and your muscles would double in size, you'd go. You'd go. You're not going to notice anything. If
Mine does every time I go. Straight away. But
I gotta go where you go.
No, but it's compounding. It's like a compounding growth. It takes time over time. Gains will be there. But it's also important, before we move on to the next point, to say it's okay to take a break too. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff going on, mentioned earlier, about mental health and stuff. You don't have to feel like you always have to be on. It's also knowing yourself and knowing your limitations on your body and your mind.
Okay, and right there, I think there's been a definite shift from my generation.
100%.
Right? Because when you start talking mental health and all that, I'll just speak for me. I won't even speak for my generation. I'll speak for me. It's like... harden up.
Yeah, that's it. Right? Here, drink some concrete, that type of thing.
Yep. Come on. You're taking the piss now. So many things. There's too many excuses sometimes. I mean, I look back, and if you go back to how society was, because I saw some pictures, of women in the 50s, right? And they're all, nice hair and, skirts down to their knees, and they, no tattoos, no this, no that. Now I know I'm going to get crucified on that one, but the women predominantly stayed home, looked after the family, looked after the kids. Guys went to work. What was wrong with that?
I think it's just maybe
why the need to, I just feel that, didn't women have it really good back then?
Well, I think it's they just want more for themselves. I think they've become
More than staying home and like they can go shopping if they wanted to go shopping. They could do this.
Yeah,
do
well,
that.
they can
But they
still
want
do
freedom.
that, but they want their own career. Cost, yeah.
So you're
One
saying that
person-
they're forced to go because they need that extra wage.
One person.
Yeah, but I think we've
back
done
then
that to
could
ourselves.
could support
Yeah, we have.
their
It's
family
still-
in your time, yes, with one wage. Now at the cost of living, you need two people. You said last couple podcasts, you said, why don't you just get two jobs? Well, I don't need to get two jobs because my spouse can get her own job. So those two jobs.
See, I would rather do two jobs and let my wife take it a little bit easier.
But they, no, but they
That's the thing. They want
they
to,
wanna
they
do
want to
that.
work.
And that's what you would rather do. I understand, the conversation, but it's what you want to do. It all just depends on what people want to do. Freedom of speech, and if you've got a partner, you sit down behind closed doors, pillow talk. What do you want to do? Do you want to work, honey? Great. Well, I'll work late, and because maybe they want that freedom. Because when I come home from work, my wife's stay-at-home mom, whatever, she just wants to have an adult conversation. Do you know what I mean? So it's just finding that balance of what works.
That's the word.
But it wasn't awareness. There wasn't awareness back then.
When you get home and your wife wants to have that conversation, like you said, you just want to go sit down, take 5 minutes, take a break for 5 minutes, and it's like all these things. And I'm thinking, I just walked in the door. But you can't say it. You got to.
You walked in the door. You didn't go to your second job?
Balance.
This is after my second
key.
job. It's after my second job.
And that's what it's hard though.
Yeah. Balance is
balance,
the key.
you know.
It's,
Yeah.
But I liked it when life was simpler. No
You don't like
phones.
the life right now.
social media is a big part of that.
No phones. You knew you had to come home when the street,
No one's forcing you to go on your
when
phone
the-
24/7.
when the street lights.
You don't have to have a phone. We can,
Yeah.
You can check
Yeah,
that.
no.
We've got Alf.
Now I'm addicted.
How would you
now.
live without TikTok?
I,
You can send.
Yeah, you couldn't survive.
All he does is just send us reels.
do you listen to the reels that I send you?
No, not all the time.
He's too busy running. He's too busy owning and running the company.
Yeah,
That-
you
they-
just
they
send-
I'm my back for you every day.
They
you send
are.
like
They are really
7
good.
a day.
They are.
Yeah.
There's
It's probably more.
stories there.
I know there's well, what? You can't tell me. You can't talk to me.
I am telling you through that.
No, he sent it to us. Yeah.
I know. He
They are
sent it to me.
good. They are good.
I know you got free time to look at them. So
What was the last one I sent you? What was the last one I
you
sent
sent,
you?
was the one that sent? You sent one this morning and opened though, but you did send
Youngest child's always the most handsome.
No. The last one I sent you. What was
Yeah,
it?
Jack. What was it?
I don't know. I know you sent it this morning.
Yeah,
I didn't open it. I didn't open it. Been at work.
It was actually quite good. I can't remember.
If you want me to go on the phone while I'm here, that's fine.
No, sorry.
So moving on. Another question. You go through different stages of wealth in your life. For example, when you're starting to make good money, you may want a Rolex, but when you get
Are
there,
these
you're
what?
financially free.
Are these viewer questions? Are
Yeah,
they?
yeah. Oh, these are just some feedback for not so much. Oh, yeah, I guess viewers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Feedback question. Yeah.
Um,
So sorry. Start again.
You go through different stages of wealth in your life. For example, when you start to make good money, you may want a Rolex, but when you get there, you're financially free. Things like a Rolex, etc.,
Yeah.
don't mean as much
yeah,
to you
yeah.
because
Okay.
it's very achievable. As to when it wasn't as achievable.
Okay.
Like you set a goal.
I
Once you
think-
get, okay, now
I think when you're young, and you want to get ahead, you want to succeed, and a lot of people have this thing. I've got to have, if I have that car there, that's going to tell people that I'm successful. If I wear this watch, this Rolex, that's going to tell people I'm successful, right? But I think that, and there's
Well, it's not
levels
successful.
because you can aim for those things and get them, whatever. But then once you surpass that level, yeah, and you keep going up that wealth ladder, yeah, and you reach a place of financial security where you no longer really have to worry about money, those things don't mean as much. The Rolex doesn't mean anything.
There's a
It doesn't mean that much.
I think his name's Alex Hormozy. He's on TikTok a lot, and I watch his videos. And
Oh, you watch his, but you won't watch mine.
No.
He's a
He's a
big deal.
Yeah, well, you're a big deal as well. You're a big deal.
Anyway.
I think that's who I'm talking about. But
Yeah, that's
he has
right.
a quote.
He wears a hat that says school.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The SK. Anyway,
Yeah.
he has a passage of words or phrase where it says, "Look at the car he's driving. Look at the watch he's wearing. Look at the clothes he has. They're unobtainable to a lot of people, so they're perceived as valuable. So once you obtain that, then you realize it's not valuable.
No.
It's actually just hard to obtain.
Yeah.
And what's really valuable is connections, relationships you
Correct.
make with people along the way. That's where I think my generation differs. It's like a perspective versus reality sort of thing. We're judged. You look at someone else's highlight reels to your behind the scenes. You know, that's what everyone does. You're going to see, you know,
Correct.
highlight reel, and you think
100%.
if I look at your
that's how it is
Instagram
all the
story,
time,
it's
right?
the best, but I don't see how hard you work. I don't see, you know, your
I
gloomy
agree.
days.
I agree. It's false pretense in terms of you meet the amount of people you can meet and say, you know, and then they got those things and it's not really what they wanted, and then they lost their wife or they lost their husband, they lost, God forbid,
Everything gets put
something
into
was put into perspective.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm there or whatever, but having spoken to a lot of people, they've chased that and they've got that. It's like the John Getty, you know, all the money in the world type of thing, you know.
Yeah.
You know, was he Italian? Don't know. But it's a good movie. But it's like, you know, all this money in the world can't make you happy. You know, it can do a lot of things.
Yeah,
but
I know the film. I
they
think was it Mark Wahlberg was in that one?
No, I don't think so. I'm not sure. We'll have to revisit that one.
Anyway,
But look, it's a tricky question. It's subjective. I think money's important, especially with the cost of living now. But it's like, it doesn't bring you true happiness and fulfillment, and it's all about defining what brings you happiness and fulfillment. Yeah,
Perception. Like
perception's reality.
Perception. Yeah, there's another thing. It's like the guy on the billionaire in his private jet.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, other way around. The guy walking on the street wished he had a bike, so he wouldn't have to walk. And the guy riding the bike wished he had a car, so he didn't have to ride the bike.
Yeah.
And the guy in the car wished we had a better car, and then it just goes on. And it's like you'll always want what you don't have because you don't appreciate. What's the saying?
You don't appreciate what you got?
No. You'll a lot of people don't appreciate
just
what
want the
they
next
have.
Like the grass
You
is
get to
always
that stage-
grass
The
is
grass
always
is always
greener.
greener, yeah.
Grass is always greener. I think a lot of it comes down to convenience too. You know, we humans are wired to improve. But like stuff we talked about earlier, like automation, improving turnaround times, improving delivery times. We get in the vernacular of logistics, but we are wired, and we will always want something that's quicker and faster. And our minds are
And
our minds have
that's
gone
true.
really like TikTok. Just mentioned TikTok. We were talking about TikTok. We've gone from being able to watch YouTube videos, being able to watch 2-hour movies, like 2.5-hour movies, like The Green Mile, to all of a sudden, how many times you watch a movie over 2 hours long these days? Our attention spans are getting smaller and smaller and smaller because we just want everything fast, we want everything convenient.
Yeah.
So I think that comes into the play in terms of wanting nicer things, and you think that makes your life convenient by having better things.
Yeah, I remember there was a story because you know my sort of age group, and for Alex as well. You know, we're into cars and and other toys and all sorts of things. And you see all these reels on Instagram and TikTok. You know, of like they go on the way for this trip, or it's their weekly vlogs or whatever it is, and they're shooting that particular day, and they could be picking up a nice car here and going out here and doing this blah blah, and you just assume that's what they fucking do every day, right?
Yeah.
But it's not. It's good because Troy Kenny actually mentions this is like we don't do that every day, right? We do it, it's what you guys see because that's what Bruce they're following. That's what blah blah blah. That's what engages audiences, right?
And on
But
that,
it's very you really and for me at a time I used to get stuck into that like shit. Oh fuck! I need to. I want that.
Yeah.
I want this and that. But like. It's not like that all the time.
Correct.
For me, very, very fortunate, that I enjoy what I do every day. Do you know what I mean? And those things will come later on. I don't have to. I used to always want everything literally.
And you might not want
this
those
second.
things
later on. You
Yeah,
think
you'll find that.
appetite changes.
Yep.
Value, everything changes. Your needs change, your values change, your circumstances change.
Yep.
And the other thing is, I was just thinking there. I think I've lost it. Oh, it's the cost too. You might see those things on social media, but what's the cost behind the scenes? It's like housing. The banks typically own the houses. Cars loaned.
Yeah.
They could have loaned. They could have loaned.
Yeah.
Could have
Yeah,
got a
there's a
loan
lot
to
of
buy
that
that
too.
Rolex. The Rolex could be fake. So
There's a lot of
so
that
much
too.
smoke and mirrors
Yeah.
on
I learned that too.
social
There's
media.
There's a guy. Yeah.
But what's real about life? You know what's really real? Supply chain logistics, especially refrigerated transport.
That's right.
Ka-ching.
That's it. Dad, you wanted to touch on a story with Alex about golf? A golf story there about the academy.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a freak of nature.
Yeah,
He used to be a freak of nature. Yeah, I'm not sure if you know, he's a pretty good golfer.
Yeah.
He could have made it pro, but
way.
he doesn't have the discipline to carry
I
it
just didn't
out.
have the support.
You fucked it up. What'd you say?
I just didn't have the support.
He didn't have the sport. yeah.
Here's one you wouldn't have heard. No one in the audience would know this. I actually used to play with Rory McIlroy when I was a kid.
No way.
No, not way. But we are from a similar place.
No. Well, Alex, he was at school, and I think he was year 9, and he said he wanted to play golf.
Yeah.
You know, he wanted to be
make a career out of
a professional golf player. And you know, my wife said, you know, you got to go. You know, you got to stay at school till you're year 12, and then you can do whatever you want after that. And I said, he doesn't really need to stay till year 12. Let's see where it goes. You know, so I think
moved schools.
Well, it was November, and he said, Dad, I really want to play golf next year. I want to go to Rowville Sports Academy. And I said, oh, let me ring up. You know, if we can go there, because at least he's still in school. You know, I'm thinking. Yeah. So we ring up and they said, oh look, applications for golf, they close in September. We're in November, so unfortunately we can't take him. But golf is the one thing that fills up first. So it's you know, you'd have a really hard time getting him in anyway.
Spot, it's not. There wasn't that many spots available through the year. There's only so many golfers that they can take. Obviously, basketball's different, same as footy. Golfers, there's only a certain amount of applicants you can take, and it was already full.
So I said to him, because I don't like hearing the word no. Right? So I said, look, okay, I understand what you're saying, but so when are they going out next? You know, on the course. Yeah. And you know, the lady said, why? I said, oh look, just if you can just have a look at him.
Yeah. He looks good.
Just tell me if we're wasting our time.
Yeah.
Because let me set him up for next year. Yeah. Right.
True.
My thing was, I want him to get in.
And also
this
for
year.
him not to be thinking, oh, next year maybe, and maybe in his head.
If he's decent, you know, then we'll see about next year.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she said, yep, no problem. We'll have a look at him. So he went down there, and she rang me back and said, no, he was really good. We'll actually take him this year. We'll fit him in.
Was it for the looks or was it for the
I
golfing ability? Or
No
both?
comment.
no comment.
Well, yes.
So they took him in, right? So I said, okay, Alex, it's still school, remember? It's not just
It's actually
all
a
game.
really good program. It's a student athlete program. So if your schooling isn't up to par, they don't actually allow you to go to your sport.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's actually a very good program.
That's like Coach Carter.
It is.
That's pretty much like that.
So anyway, I said to him, okay, what subjects are you picking? He goes, I've already picked my subjects. You know, this is after a couple of months, right? Because
English.
we were now, that was in November, and then in January, you know, we had to organise his book list, because we forgot all about it, you know, because we missed all those initial things. So I said, oh, you know, we have to go down and, you know, and get your books and everything. I said, what subjects did you pick? He goes, maths and English you had to do.
Yeah.
Right? He goes, I'm going to pick, obviously golf, you know, and there's 2 more subjects. So he goes, I'm going to do
Media and art.
media, because I like taking photos, and then I'm going to do food because I like eating. Right?
All thought out.
And I said,
That is definitely thought out.
they're your subjects. And he goes, yeah, that's what I'm going to choose. I said, no. Pick a business course. Get rid of one of them and get a business course. He goes, no, you know, you can't, Dad, you can't. I said, mate, you get into that business course, all right? Get rid of either the cooking or the media, and I want to see you do a business, all right? Anyway, then he comes back to me. He goes, Dad, you know, I tried, you know, it's all full. This is the only thing I can do. It can't be done. I said, Alex, I want you to do a business. I don't care what you do, right? So we went to Campion Books, and we had to pick out the books. And I said, here's your book for business, right? I'm buying this book because you're doing this subject, right? So we're arguing all the way back, you know. And he said, Dad, I need a laptop.
No, phone.
No. He needed a...
I need a laptop for school.
He needed a laptop.
Yeah, right.
And I said, all right. I said, what about the iPad? What about an iPad? We got an iPad at home. Just use an iPad. And he goes, well, I could, use an iPad, but, I know my grades are going to suffer because I haven't got a thing. And he's making up all these excuses why he can't use
He's
an
not in
iPad.
Sales, is he?
He should be, right? Well, all these excuses why he can't use an iPad. I said, all right, let's go down to JB. Let's go down to JB and we'll pick you out a laptop. So laptops were ranging from about $500 to $3,000, right? And I thought he's going to go straight to the $3,000 ones, right? But he didn't.
Makes sense. Yeah.
But he didn't.
Oh.
He went to the lower end. He goes,
playing that field.
Dad, I can do this laptop here, and also I want a new phone, or a new iPhone.
Oh, he's throwing that
I
in
said,
there.
you're not getting an iPhone. He goes, Dad, I've saved you all this money, right, on this. We now have enough money because you said you would buy this laptop over here for nearly $3,000.
We'll buy this one.
Buy this one here, and with the extra money, I said, Alex, I'm not buying you a laptop.
So we actually didn't need a laptop at all.
I needed to get him in the room.
He said, I could probably use. I said to him, if you had to choose between the laptop and the phone, what would you choose? And he goes, the phone. I said, well, then how would you do your work? He goes, I can use the iPad, right? I can use the iPad. I said, mate, we're getting you a laptop, and that's it. This is the one you've chosen. And we're walking out of JB, and he said, Dad, I can't believe you didn't buy the phone for me. It's for school. I said, Alex, no. I said, are you doing the business? Are you doing the business course? He goes, Dad, you're not listening. He goes to me, read my lips. It cannot be done. I've spoken to them. It cannot be done. Read my lips, Dad. I said, right, okay. I said,
How old is he at this stage?
15,
16.
15. I said to him, okay, I'll tell you what I'll do, Alex. Get into the business course, right, that you say can't be done, and I'll buy you a phone.
You got into the business school.
I said, what do you think? He goes, deal.
Deal.
I said, okay.
We already had the books.
Hang on. And so he goes to school, and I said to him, I need proof. Because he sends me a picture of, it said Business 101, right? Yeah. And he sends me a picture. I said, mate, a picture's not going to do it. I need to know 100% that you've actually gotten into that subject, right? And I said, I'll talk to you when you come home tonight, right? Cause that's right. Because he sent me that picture saying Business 101. Now, iPhone, I don't know, 10, whatever it was back then.
Shopping list.
126 thing.
Yeah.
Rose gold. You're welcome, right? You're welcome. And I'm thinking, oh shit, did he get in? All right. So anyway, he comes home that night and I said, what happened? He goes, well, I went to class and they're reading through the roll call, and they said, well, my name's. They didn't read me my name, and they said, oh, you're in the wrong class. You shouldn't be here. I said, no, I'm supposed to be here. And I said, and she's like, saying, no. And he goes, you're not in my role. I've even got the book, because I bought the book for him, right? And she's looking and saying...
She was baffled. She's like, you're not on my list. I said, well, why would I have gotten the book then? And she's like, oh, let me see. You actually meant to be in... I was like, I didn't buy those books. And then, she's like, well, you can sit in for today. And
no, she said, there's no room in this class for you, though. And he goes, but I'm here. I'm sitting down. How can there not be any room? And she goes, oh, okay, so...
She let me sit in for the day, and she said, we'll sort it out. And then, I was told to go to media the next class. I didn't. I went straight back to the business class and just sat in as if... And then about like a week and a half later, they just added me to the role.
Yeah. So anyway, I said to my wife, I said, I'm going to get Alex a phone. And she goes, no, you don't reward him. You don't. I said, no. I'm going to do it. I said I'd do it, and I'm going to do it because this is a lesson. This is a lesson for him. Yeah. Whenever someone says to you, it can't be done...
You find a way to do it.
I knew he'd find a way. Yeah. All right? Find a way to do it. If the want is big enough, you will find a way to do it. And he did. And he found a way and he did it.
That's right. It's like that quote from me at the Otters: if you want to take over an island, you burn the fucking boats because you can't leave it. You fucking miles.
Yep.
You know.
Well, that's cool. I haven't heard that, but that, yeah.
You
That,
heard
that?
no.
We did the fucking walk.
I sent it to you on TikTok. You don't
We
watch
went to that
TikToks?
event in
I
Sydney.
don't. What?
We went to his event in Sydney and we walked across.
Was that the time you were in an
fire?
island, you got stuck and had to come pick you up in
Mate,
my
sometimes
helicopter?
I get senior brain. I forget things.
Yeah.
There's only so much you can fit in your head. So, yeah.
But
So that was
deal's a deal.
deal was a deal. But
We've made some interesting deals over the. I will say that you're very articulate with what you say.
There's always a lesson.
Yeah, there's always a lesson, but I will say when we make a deal and we handshake on it, you are a man of your word. I'll say that.
That's all you've got, your word. And on that,
Yeah.
it's his job as a father to leave
Yeah.
lessons. That's his legacy, to leave the lessons that you can pass on to your children.
yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of handshake, right?
And when you handshake,
Trust in business.
do a firm
In business,
handshake.
right? Like I'm sure, Dad, maybe Kyle as well. You would have made deals in business over a handshake, right? No contract.
Oh, yeah.
Or what, right?
Yep.
In today's now world, I'm hearing a lot and seeing a lot that's out the window. There is none of that.
Not what, sorry, handshakes? Or?
Handshake
There's
deals.
no handshake agreement. People are getting fucked over and stepping back over that. There's some of the things I'm seeing on on LinkedIn as well, but also hearing about as well. It used to be a time where a handshaker.
It's still around. If you've got the right people, it's still there.
Yeah.
It's still there because I did 6 months ago. I did a $3 million deal.
On a handshake.
Handshake. Nothing is written down.
Yeah, right.
I think it's, you make the deal. Of course, paper can be not worth what it's written on, right? There's ways out of things. There's good lawyers, et cetera, et cetera. But if you make a deal on handshake and let's say buyer to the supplier says, I want X, Y, and Z, or I need X, Y, and Z. This is my deliverables and objectives. And you say, I can do it for this price. It's exactly what they want. You make a handshake on it and you deliver on it. That's fine. But I could see in a world where, yes, if you say you can do X, Y, Z, handshake on it and don't deliver to that person when he's got someone to report to. It depends.
You need to get
context
you
around
need
it.
yeah. Like things like that. You need scope of works.
Yes.
You need to get things done. Like
Yeah.
put it down in black and white. Because there's no misunderstanding once it's in black and white. But I think to Jack's point, when
generations
built
on that
generationally,
your word.
If I say something, if I say something, I will honour it.
Yeah, you shake them.
Whether we lose or not is irrelevant.
Yeah.
I will never go back on what I say
That's what I'm
just
saying
because
is-
we're going to lose.
What I'm saying is that's changing now. Yeah,
We'll wear that cost. Remember, you did that last thing where
I think.
anyway.
Yeah. No, I think there's a lot of just deals that happen without even people meeting. Do you know what I mean? You get inquiries, you meet someone that sent through a proposal, and it's on Teams. It happened during COVID. Opportunities, business deals happened without even meeting people.
Yeah, but
so if you build
and
a
people
relationship,
did
you
get
should-
scammed as well.
Correct.
People did get
You
scammed.
shake someone's hand, you look them in the eyes, you deliver on it, and then you learn not to work with that person. And in our industry, or even in Australia, it's a small industry, it's a small world.
Yeah.
right.
So if you do the wrong thing by someone in business, it's not long before people know. So it's probably in your best interest to execute. and deliver on
because
a
what's
handshake.
that thing? If you're dealing with one person, they will basically tell 10 people.
Yeah, that's right.
Correct.
Yeah. If it's great, yeah.
Yeah.
And your words, your name, your word, that's who you are. You're sort of a ambassador for yourself.
Yeah.
I know personally a few people with bad names just through my upbringing, and you just know not to deal with them.
Correct.
And it's very hard to change someone's opinion of you.
Correct.
Very hard.
It's like a first impression. You only get first impression once.
Mm.
Yep.
It's really hard to make that back. As it Warren Buffett said, 'cause it takes like 40 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
That is so true.
How important is a good TMS, transport management system, and how do you?
That changed direction real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, do you dive in that side of the
We
business,
do.
or not really?
We have our own. We have a TMS software, and it's a bit like but it's an FMS software as well because we have our own trucks.
What's FMS?
Freight management. Oh, sorry, freight management as well. So freight
But
management.
it's the same thing, freight
No,
management.
TMS is like a transport management system when you got your own fleet.
Yeah.
FMS is more of like the freight brokerage type
Oh,
system.
freight
there's a lot
management
of,
side.
Yeah, freight management. So there's a lot
gotcha.
of freight brokers out there.
There is
that
a
put
lot
in
of
their
freight brokers out there.
system that has multiple carriers that integrate in, and then the carrier or the customer can consign the most optimal provider, gives them different rates, blah blah, and they can consign, manifest, create connotes all in one system. Whereas a TMS, if you've got your own trucks as well, so the fact that we have our own trucks and we offer freight management, we've got to find the right software that offers both.
And you do 3PL as well, yeah?
We do 3PL, yeah.
Okay. Do you handle anything with batch codes?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, you need to have a chat to see if there's something that we can learn about batch codes. We've had something. We had a question come up that last week that we haven't come across before. So
you guys have your own WMS? Right?
Yeah.
We've
so
gone through that journey.
We have our own TMS and WMS. So
Nice.
as I was saying earlier, we have our own dev.
Might be
TMS
able to
as
save
well.
us a couple of months of development.
Yeah.
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 I'll be able to chat. If it's not me, I'll be able to introduce you to someone that can help through the network.
Yeah, it's just like when you have a custom built system, it's great because you can redefine things, retune things, custom build things for your customers.
Yeah,
in regards to EDI, API into each other.
Correct, because if it's someone else's, you want to custom build something, you got to pay for it.
Correct.
And then they can just give it on, sell it, and give it to somebody else.
Correct,
One of your
that's
competitors.
right.
And the other thing it could be useful for, not you guys are here and your dad's built a legacy, and for you guys to continue it is, it actually helps your business in the long term in terms of if you ever want to sell, right? It actually could
that's
give you a
right.
higher multiple.
Yeah.
Because you've got your own proprietary system, which is quite known in the industry without going into a lot of details. A lot of big transactions in the past number of years where, let's say, said 3PL or transport company got a much higher EBITDA multiple on the exit because they had their own system. A lot of businesses are trying to do now. That's why you might hear of a lot of businesses building their own system.
Yeah.
Because
They are so expensive to build.
Yes, I know. Yeah. Yeah.
Millions and millions of dollars
Correct.
to build your own system.
So you got a really good brief.
Because it's
and
quite
different
complex,
languages.
yeah. And as I said before, every business is different, so got,
I mean, I think it's cheaper to buy something off the shelf, but it's not going to.
Yeah, it is and it isn't.
Up front, probably yes, but the hidden cost behind.
I think what you'll find is as you grow, the limitations
Correct.
are going to slow you down.
Well,
that's the problem.
That's what's
That's
we
the
did ours,
problem.
yeah. You just control your destiny. You control where you're going. You know what I mean? And when you onboard new customers, for us, it's another selling point. But it makes it a lot more smoother.
Yeah.
To know that we're flexible. Whatever they want, we can sort of build it and go away with it. So that's been I think having the right TMS is pretty important.
How many trucks now, you guys?
Sorry?
How many trucks on the road, rubber on the road?
Oh,
As a fleet, we're about 130 now.
Wow.
Recently we just picked up a couple of trailers. This year we've doubled our trailer fleet. So we, a lot of our trailers mainly just do local pickups, blah, 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 but now we do have a leg into New South Wales for our customers. So that's sort of what's picked up the volume from there. But also with our new site, with our new cold storage site, there's more local bulk.
Was that doing
deliveries with
3PL as well?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's trekking along nicely. It's about 60% full at the moment.
Yeah.
And then so
Anyone out in my network looking for cold storage space? Like these guys?
That's
Good-
right.
good blokes.
But we have we got a show coming up shortly. Well, by the time this airs, it's probably already gone, but there's another show after that anyway. So we've got a couple of shows this year where we'll start to target a bit more if we haven't filled it yet, which I don't think we're going to have an issue with that. I mean, that's why we built one. We built one because we were at capacity, and unfortunately, you never want to be in a position where you got to turn customers away. Where we were in that, which
Correct.
is great.
Yeah.
Which
It
was
is
not
an
great,
interesting
right?
industry, the
Yeah.
cold storage industry, right? Isn't it? There's always a lack of space.
Correct, that's right.
It's
Yeah.
a high
mean,
barrier to entry. It's a tough. It's a
Yeah.
tough
we
industry.
had to basically turn some customers away last Christmas. Well, that weren't really.
Well, no, I mean they still had a number amount with us, but we couldn't accept any more containers because we're full.
Yeah.
So
And I hate doing that. I hate
Yeah.
saying no.
Reefer spaces on site. Do you have
Yeah.
reefer spaces? Yeah.
Containers, you mean?
Container spaces. Yeah. For
so when containers come to us, it's we
We unload them.
you unload
We
them
book it
live,
in
We unload
live,
them
live
straight away.
unload.
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct.
So you
yeah.
don't have space we could maybe this could be something you could look into. You know, to do a lot of
Oh, you
the
mean
ports and
store-
stuff.
store them?
Store, like so
Oh,
it comes
no,
in
no,
the
no.
container.
Mate, we can't even store our trucks. We've got nowhere to put our trucks.
Stack them as you see you going into the port of Melbourne. You can see the reef.
Yeah, I can see them.
and
Yeah,
they're plugged in. Very expensive to run.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can charge a lot for it. But,
You know, we're not in that. We're not in that market. Yeah. For us, it comes to us and do that. But yeah, we're running out of space now for truck parking. So and we like I said, we bought 4 trailers recently, and it's gonna be find somewhere to park them. So now we're parking them on the street wherever we can around because there's just not enough space. You know,
Are you any issues with that, like parking on the street, like consoles and stuff like that? Fines?
No. Oh, well, you park where you're allowed to park. You know, there's no signs there, so we can park there. But it's you know, where we are in our little pocket. Like there's in Dandenong, there's, you know, they got what's it called, truck parking places, right? Like yards, truck parking yards. So, you know, you pay to park, but that's available free. There's nothing in our little area that's like that.
It's
So
crazy. It's where councils, businesses, the government, wherever they can make the most money on land. It's like same as they're building warehouses now, right? It's like as much warehouse you can fit on the land. But what about the trucks? The stuff, the transient vehicles have to move this stuff.
Yeah.
But they're talking about how much per square meter. The more the square meter they can get on the land, the better. But that's just not feasible when you need a good warehouse with good truck flow inbound and outbound.
Yeah.
And then where do the trucks go? Well, more housing, more bigger warehouses, and not much space for inbound and outbound.
And for us, that's been, you know, like we've been looking at it, trying to source a place in Sydney, and whatever place you find, there's no hard stand.
Yeah.
So where do you park your trucks, right? Or they don't have docks, or there's a bit tricky. So it's just getting through that, but you know, the joys of business. You know,
you're gonna have many real estate agents calling you after this. After this, you're looking for a place in Sydney. Is that right? Don't say how much. Just says 1 square meter warehouse. Because your phone will be going off the hook after this call. So
No, we're speaking to a couple.
Yeah,
of
but
them.
we just got to be careful. You know, you don't want to bite off more than you can chew, right? You know, we've just done a major build here. You know, where we've offered our customers, you know, some new things that we didn't traditionally do. So I think we just, you know, every now and again you just got to stop.
Yeah.
Consolidate.
Yeah.
Make sure everything's
old
going
bull,
on
young
track.
bull. As we spoke
Yep,
about
yep.
old bull, young bull.
My fucking pedal, my foot's like this, done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look.
But that's how you. I bet that's how you crash.
Yeah. Look, I understand that because I've got 1 speed, flat out, or 2 speeds, flat out and stop. That's all I got. You know, I can't do things, you know, at a certain pace. But yeah, you're right. You do burn. You can burn yourself out. But
100%.
you know, you can grow too quickly because there's no point taking on new work or new customers.
And then let them down.
And you let them down, or you can say, you know, I need to focus on these because, you know, we just got them.
Yeah.
And then you let your existing customers down.
Yeah, no.
You can't do that.
It's harder to say no than yes.
Oh,
I read an article
100%.
about it recently. We're so good and geared to say yes to an event, to a business meeting, to an internal meeting, to everything in life we say yes to. We're getting better at saying no is one of the keys to success.
Look, come December, we don't take on any new work in December. Actually, pretty much halfway through November as well. We will not take on new work.
Yeah.
You know, and people.
Especially the ad hoc work too. It's like, of course, if it's ad hoc and there's larger opportunities.
Yeah, but
when it comes to those times, it's like, I'll do this little bit and then just.
No, but you got to understand. You know, come December, our own volume increases by about 30%.
Yeah.
Right. So what we normally do is already increased by 30%.
More than 30%.
Or more.
So people's stomachs get bigger by 30%. You know,
I think there's a lot more wastage.
It is crazy how it's like Christmas comes at the same time every year, all these periods, but it's like we're not prepared for them, and it's crazy how much more we decide to eat.
I know.
Over certain periods.
Yeah, I was making a point now. I forgot. Anyway, it'll come to me.
That's it. That's all the questions. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on? We got through all the questions that we need to get through.
I don't think anything I want to touch on or finish on. As I mentioned at the start, reason I wanted to come in is like what you guys are doing. You're putting yourself out there. I just want to say to the audience as well, it's like, it's not easy to do it. It's easy to sit back and watch and look at these things, but it's really hard to get out there and put yourself out, be genuine, be authentic. And these are opinions. What we talk about is subjective.
Yeah.
You know, we haven't seen each other in a number of years. First time I met your brother and your old man we've met before.
Yeah.
Not old, but
No.
you know, put yourself out there, guys, and for people listening too.
We say it as it is. We say it as it is. We don't colour it. And look, sometimes I feel that there are certain subjects that we need to discuss. We should discuss.
Yeah.
But no one wants to talk about it because they're worried about getting in trouble and getting cancelled and having... And something's got to change there.
But thanks for coming on. It was good to catch up. You know, it's always good to get other people's opinions in our industry, right, and see their point of view.
Yeah, I think this industry is brilliant, right? It's people like you guys and people, you know, say characters like myself, who get out there, put their name out there, put their face out there, and be willing to have a crack. It's that good old when I arrived here, having a crack. And that's what I love about this industry. It is a people-driven industry.
Yeah.
Like, you can have to still physically move. AI and all these technologies will never be able to move freight from A to B, and you need people to do that. So,
well, we hope not.
Yeah, correct.
We hope
so.
not.
Thank you for being you. Thank you for being you guys. Thank you for having me on. Thank you to the production team here. Yeah, they've been great.
No, good.
And
it's good to have you.
Have a day, and look forward to this one being aired.
Yeah.
And do I collect the Rolex on the way out?
No, there's nothing, just the Apple. But anyway, that wraps us up, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Please make sure you like, share, and follow us on our socials, and keep up to date with us. We'll see you in the next one. Cheers.
Sayonara.